Bruno and his wife Soraya were both at home getting ready to enjoy a nice evening together. It was rare that they managed to get peace and quiet all night because they were the parents of 3 children. But fortunately, they were all at a camp with their local scouting group, so Bruno and Soraya could enjoy themselves without any responsibilities. Soraya was sitting at the dining table flipping her son's toy skateboard, waiting for Bruno to choose a movie to watch. This always took a long time because he was so ridiculously indecisive, but before he could come to a decision, this happened.
Se movió la silla.
¿Leal?
Sí.
De las cores.
Tipo, es de arquiteta.
De las cores.
Soraya was clearly freaked out by all of this sudden activity and shouted to Bruno for help. She half expected him to have more of an idea as to what to do next, but he was just as clueless in this situation. We can only hope that they acted sensibly from here, because we have no more intel on the situation. If I could give you one singular piece of advice to take with you into a paranormal situation, it would be to not tell a spirit what to do, because this can cause all sorts of havoc. Just like humans, spirits take being commanded around as some sort of disrespectful and objectifying way to treat someone, so they typically get worse when given orders. The man that captured the following video most certainly did not have this knowledge with him, because he took it upon himself to encourage his haunter to push a can. Have a watch.
Guys, last night I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard some pounding. I think there might be a ghost in my house. I have a can set up right there. Hang on. Right there's a can. And I'm gonna see if I can get this spirit to knock the can down. So here goes nothing, I guess. Remember, there's a can sitting right there. If there's a spirit here with me, I've put a can on top of my stand. Can you please knock the can down? Oh my God. What the fuck, guys? Oh my God. Fucking shaking. There's the can. It was sitting right there. Like and subscribe for more.
Now the ghost did end up following this order, but based on future updates, the hauntings became much worse after this incident. The man who filmed the video is currently in the process of moving out from the house due to the sheer amount of activity, and who knows what he will do next. Experiencing paranormal activity is definitely rare, but experiencing a sequence of activity is far more impressive. Sometimes ghosts must have way too much anger inside of them because they do multiple things during one haunting sequence. Fortunately, our next victim, called Zachary, managed to capture his haunting sequence in 4K, and it actually took place within the premise of his work. He worked in a factory, and at the time of the incident, he was down in the storage room doing some tasks. Luckily, he was filming a video for his friend to showcase how boring his job was, and if it wasn't for that, then we would not have received this fascinating piece of footage. All sorts of crazy stuff happened down there, and Zachary was utterly mesmerized by what was going on. After ending the recording, he took no hesitation in evacuating the scene and informing his boss of the situation. The boss watched the footage and believed Zachary, but would not be able to do anything about it. Nothing awful has happened in that room since, but the memory still haunts Zachary every time he is forced to venture the area. Kira was an innocent woman who had never wronged anyone in her life, at least not to an extent that would have warranted a haunting. This is why she and everybody who knew her were so confused about her recent stories involving objects moving on their own, voices from right beside her, and tons of electricity problems. The stories were so unbelievable that her eldest son actually ended up booking some therapy for her out of pure worry, which was rather sweet. However, all sweetness was taken away when you realize she was not crazy all along. 2 days before her therapeutic appointment, Kira found motivation to prove she was not going insane because she didn't want her relatives to waste all of their money attempting to diagnose her. This is the context of the video of which I am about to show you, where she is clearly trying to catch the spirit red-handed.
Twice it has moved. I literally thought I heard something then. If there's anybody in here who can move the ornament under the TV stand, can you give it a little push for me? Or can you pull it, or can you pull it back? Just give it a little pull for me if you can just touch it. Oh my god. What the fuck? What the fuck? That is like, there's nothing on it. There's nothing on it at all.
After being politely asked to do so, as you should ask a spirit, it decided to move the ornament without causing any damage to it. And inside her head, Kira was having a party. She spoke to her sister and asked how to send the video to everyone, and she got help doing so. The fact that she knew little about technology led to everybody believing the video could not have been edited, and she was believed at last, with the priest coming out to offer her help in the coming months. On June the 25th of 2024, Beto was simply trying to have a shower when everything turned against him. The time was 10 p.m, so a regular time for an evening shower. He had allowed his son to have a shower first because he had school in the morning, and it was finally his turn after waiting, but the relieving shower was clearly not meant to be, because immediately after entering the room, something happened that warranted Beto to take out his phone. It is important to note that no items, or the house itself, have had any paranormal past recorded, and this was a first-time event.
No sé si me muero.
This terrified Beto, but he made sure to film it for long enough so that it was undeniably real. He knew the power of social media, so uploaded it to TikTok, hoping he was going to be the next big thing. Whilst he failed to become the next big thing, he did end up with 12,000 likes, which he was fairly happy about, but was worth a haunting? Probably not. The worst paranormal experiences are always the ones that end up including children because you know that they will have done nothing worthy of a punishment at a magnitude of a haunting. They can barely grasp the concept of the real world, let alone the concept of the underworld, so you always have to feel bad. Well, in this clip, the family of 3 have a baby included and an evil spirit refuses to let it get any rest. Take a look.
Vente. Le están tocando.
Sí. La niña empezó a llorar.
Ya no haga mucho ruido para ver quién es. No prendas. ¿Cómo rápido? Está bien inquieta, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Ya son casi las 3 de la mañana. ¿Dónde están las llaves? Hoy. Ahí quédate, espérame. No hay nadie. No hay nadie. No, uy, otra vez. Menos. ¿Quién será? Ya es nadie, Ceci. Yo creo que ya nos subimos a dormir. Ya. Vámonos. Vámonos porque igual le voy a enseñar la hora. Siempre pasa lo mismo. Mira. Son casi las 3 de la mañana. 25. Siempre hace lo mismo, ¿verdad? Sí. Ya vamos a... voy a cerrar otra vez.
The loud banging really upset the baby, because for one, it will have had sensitive ears, and for two, at a time such as 20 to 3 at night, it should have been fast asleep. What made things strange was that the father, Amro, continued to open the curtains covering the window where the banging was coming from, and whenever he did, it stopped. Now, obviously, the house being haunted was a huge issue for the family. It's hard to skip past the fact that an entity of which nobody can see is taking your place as residents, let alone not letting you sleep. Things became much worse, however, when the father recorded this next clip, where he discovered that his car was also under the same effect.
Hijo de... ¿Viste? Ya, mamá, ya. Por la llave a la troca. ¿Ya vieron? Las 3. Las 3. Las 3. Siempre a la misma hora. Perdón, estoy algo nervioso. Sí, checa aquí. ¡Uy, cabrón! A ver, gente, esta camioneta está descompuesta. La tengo hasta enlonada, o sea, ya sé que no van a creer muchos, pero es lo que hay. Tengo que quitarle todo esto porque, uy, clarito, vi algo allá adentro, ¿eh? Oh, pasó algo volando. Permítame. La niña está alterada. Lo siento, no podía dejar la camioneta así. Uy, cabrón, me asusta esta cosa, güey. Esta camioneta realmente no sirve. O sea, sí sirve, pero vean, o sea, está desmantelada. Hace mucho frío aquí. Vean, tiene tiempo que no se usa, o sea, está toda polveada. Y vean si gira. Estaba apagada. Y aquí está la llave. Tiene tiempo que no la ocupamos. Ya. Me dice mi esposa. Está muy peligrosa esta zona, gente. Yo me voy a meter. Yo sé que muchos me dijeron que no tenía que abrir, pero ya no ve. Tienen que checar el video porque para mí que no que estaba en su lugar. Espérame, voy a amarrar. Me voy a meter, gente. Pues diario voy a documentar. Diario y pues bueno. Ya me voy a dormir.
Despite the car not even being turned on and the windscreen wipers being completely shut off, they started wiping the car, which meant that some form of exterior force was forcing this to happen. Whether this force was a spirit or not, we have no idea, but considering that the knocking happened at the same hour, it makes a lot of sense. But if that still failed to convince you that it was a spirit that this family was being forced to handle, watch this final video.
Johnny, están tocando.
¿Ah?
Están tocando.
¿Quién es?
Nadie, mamá.
¿Están tocando?
Sí.
Ah, sí, no manches.
Escucha.
Otra vez, güey, a ver. Dame.
Sí.
A ver, aguanta. Espérame aquí, aguántame. No manches. Otra vez no. Son las 3 de la mañana, gente. Son casi las 3 de la mañana. ¿Qué quieres? ¿Qué es lo que quieres? Deja de molestar. Quiero que te largues. ¿Qué es eso? Oh, no manches. Oh, no manches. ¡Ceci! ¡Ceci!
This time, a visible apparition could be seen of the spirit, and it looked like some sort of ghostly skull, which is not what you would imagine a ghost to look like. Furthermore, at the end of the video, the father's tears were flattening live without any real reason to do so, which surely would have been a spiritual cause. Ghost sightings are supposed to be spooky for the people involved and the audience watching them behind a screen. However, these things take it a step too far when they decide to pick on children as their victims. The kid in the following video was called Callum, and he was bullied at school quite a bit, so was already going through a lot. This ghost sighting certainly didn't do him any favors. Have a watch.
Justin, are you in here? Why are these on the floor?
Now at first glance, Callum assumed that Justin, his younger brother, was causing chaos and was more than prepared to snitch on him for trashing the room. When he scanned the room and saw nobody though, the boy knew that something was up. He tried his absolute hardest to convince his parents that what he saw was in fact a spirit, but despite his efforts they were never convinced, and poor Callum was left terrified with no aid whatsoever. Rahim was an individual who had been living by himself for a couple of years to get through university life. At first, he and his friends were sharing, but for unknown reasons, this did not go to plan, so they decided to split up. Since Rahim found the property in the first place, they all agreed that he should keep that one, which he was rather pleased about. To his dismay though, it did not turn out to be as fortunate of a decision as it was anticipated.
Alright. Let's catch this on camera.
Surprisingly, the apartment turned out to be haunted, and the other friends actually knew this, which is why they decided to split up. When Rahim found out their reasons, he was extraordinarily angered that none of them decided to give him this information, as he was now forced to live with it. After dropping his friends from his phone, he added the priest to it and began negotiating a way to bless his home. This is when the updates were cut, and we have not heard from Rahim since. The following footage is from a CCTV camera inside a hospital and actually has a rather upsetting story to back it up. The clip involves Mamouche, the beloved husband of a doctor at his local hospital, and he vowed to protect her no matter what the circumstance. To his surprise, he received a message from her during one of her night shifts begging him to rush down and see what was going on, to which he did. But to his surprise, she wasn't even there. She called him momentarily after and asked why he wasn't home, and he explained everything. It was here that something odd happened.
A menos que esté fallando el detector, no sé. Pero vos estás muy lejos como para que te lea. Porque el uno se pone en verde. ¿Ves? Vos estás lejos, ya, pero cuando se pone, mirá. ¿Escuchaste eso? Mira ya que se me puso el pico lleno y no tengo miedo. Ese...
Mamouche heard the bang but had no idea what caused it until he asked his wife to speak to the security team about checking the cameras. It was discovered that all sorts of paranormal activity was detected that night, and if Mamouche wasn't as cautious as he chose to be, who knows what could have happened to him. A common occurrence when it comes to spirits is the sound of knocking, and it is unknown why ghosts enjoy messing with their victims in this way. Perhaps it is because humans are trained to respond to knocking due to doors, but again, that is just a theory and we have no idea for sure. What we do know is that the spirit in the clip that I am about to show you decided to use this knocking strategy to instill fear into Kenny, and what happened next was crazy.
There's somebody banging on my door here, what the f? Who's there? Who's there? What the f? Who's there? Ooh, what the f? Holy f, that f creeps me out, man. What the f?
After opening the door, absolutely no one was on the other side, and Kenny was left baffled. At first, he thought that the knocking was likely caused by some teenagers playing Ding Dong Ditch, which was very popular in the neighborhood at the time. However, after reviewing the footage that he captured, this theory switched to a more negative one. Once he opened the door, a little girl could be heard, and the voice was very distinct, but fortunately, intellectual enough to be captured by the camera. This footage changed Kenny's perspective on the situation majorly, and who knows what truly happened that night. On December 20th of 2024, quite recently, Mario was doing some cleaning inside his apartment. His girlfriend was out doing things with her friends, and Mario wanted to prove to her that he could tidy because she said he couldn't. Intent on disproving her, he spent a full hour hoovering the entire apartment, and was even so generous as to do her room too. However, once he reached the stage of doing the sitting room, things took a creepy turn for the worst. As odd as this may have been, the speaker and the Hoover fell without any sort of interaction from anything, and this was a fright for Mario to say the least. He stood there bewildered for a good 10 minutes after the incident, before deciding to call his girlfriend to explain what had happened, to which the response was quite quirky and funny. "I told you, you cannot clean..." Chucky is a well-known horror movie character who is quite easy to explain the concept of. In short, he is a haunted doll who goes around harming the people who own him, which is very spooky. But of course, this is just a film, and there is no reason to be frightened in real life. Or is there? Ivan is a 23-year-old gamer and horror movie enthusiast who was in the process of decorating his new room. He wanted to make sure his room was personally crafted to represent him as a person, so vowed to include all kinds of horror and gaming characters, with one of them being a doll of the famous Chucky. Of course, this was only a toy replica, and it had a button on its back, which gave it the ability to speak. Ivan loved his choice until it decided to do this on one fateful night. The doll fell from its resting point without any natural interference, leading Ivan to expect the worst, especially when considering the fact that the doll was literally based on a haunted one. There was no way he could look past the fact that it could have been haunted. In response to the situation, Ivan decided to follow through with the only liable solution and put Chucky back into his box before sealing it with tape. This made sure that whether it was haunted or not, it could not creep him out in the slightest, and if anyone asked him about it, he could just say he prefers how it looks like that. After doing this, Ivan went a good few weeks without witnessing anything out of the ordinary, and was starting to question whether or not he overreacted. His mind was flooding with thoughts, but eventually he came to the conclusion that it was better safe than sorry, and left Chucky in his box, to which the doll clearly was not pleased. Take a look. When Ivan left the room, the chair started to shake vigorously, and unfortunately, Ivan was not able to see this until he opened the motion sensor detection on his mobile device. It was so strange that this happened on the exact same day as he was questioning things, and it almost seemed as if the doll wanted to be kept captive. To clear his mind, Ivan watched some television that night because he really needed to be calm before coming up with his next plan of action against the Chucky doll. It seemed that every time he wanted peace, though, the doll would strike again, and this happened in the final clip of this trilogy.
Aquí sí me dio miedo, le pensé en entrar, sentía que alguien saldría corriendo y fue lo contrario, me cerraron la puerta.
Alexa, enciende luz de habitación.
Hay algunas cosas con ese nombre: televisor habitación y espejo habitación. ¿A cuál te refieres?
Espejo habitación.
Muy bien.
The Chucky doll somehow turned on by itself, despite being locked inside a box, and started making laughing noises, which were not even programmed into the voice pack. Furthermore, the door slammed in Ivan's face, which realistically can't have happened unless the spirit did it. So all of the evidence added up perfectly. This spirit was nasty. If Ivan posts any more videos regarding the Chucky doll, I will be sure to include them in the future, so please subscribe. In the following video, Mason and Olex were in a room together enjoying a nice takeaway, Chinese to be exact. Mason's apartment was free since his girlfriend was out at her best friend's birthday, meaning that he could invite a friend over without any repercussions. He just knew that Olex was number one on his list. After sending him a message, Olex quickly arrived on scene and they ordered some food together, splitting the bill. It was when the food was delivered that something insane happened.
Вот мы сидим, бухаем с кумом, и вот так вот: кум, посмотри в камеру, что ты можешь сказать, как поздравить людей с 23 февраля, с прошедшим?
Чтобы всегда были бабы.
Нормально.
Бабы и бабло. Все, что еще нужно. Бабы и бабло.
Что это такое?
All kinds of items started to move in the room, and none of them knew what on earth was causing it all. The duo had never experienced any sort of paranormal activity before, so were in genuine disbelief and had no idea what was happening to them. When it all ended, they shook hands and agreed to never mention any of this to any relatives, but would still post it to social media in hopes of some traction. They still do not believe a spirit caused these events and beg their audience for other conclusions. So feel free to comment them in the comments. Abdullah was, and still is, a ghost hunter, traveling all around the Middle East, making a living from the spiritual world. He was very experienced in this job at the time that the upcoming piece of footage was captured, but even this incident managed to instill fear into him. He explained after the mission that he would never deal with confirmed to be evil entities ever again, because the feelings that they can project onto you are very dark and have a long-lasting effect. Have a watch.
Assalamu alaikum margaru ye bie pa qakur ki Allah gastiri kha tra pa kur ki ra la bia Allah gastiri ya Allah khair margaru da de kur ki tasto ma wilu ji qasam min pe khol ji bade kur ki perian shtadi ya Allah khair do gore khaye ya Allah khair qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas malikin nas ilahin nas min sharri alwaswasil hannas الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس يا الله خير سوكي لك سوكي يا الله خير دو غورا خاي يا الله خير يا الله خير دو غورا خاي يا الله خير يا الله خير يا الله خير سوكي لك سوكي دو غورا خاي يا الله خير يا الله خير يا الله خير يا الله خير دو غورا يا الله خير يا الله خير يا الله خير دو غورا خا بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا الله خير دو غورا خاي رنا ورز ده يا الله خير يا الله خير يا الله خير يا الله خير خداي خير.
As well as the doors and the chair moving on their own accord, Abdullah claimed that he couldn't think straight, and all sorts of dark and twisted thoughts clouded his headspace. As well as this, the air's feeling went from the standard warm mood in the Middle East to a cold and gloomy one, which was enough to make him do a full 180 and leave that place. Praise was a young man who was in the middle of one of the weirdest paranormal hauntings we have ever delved into. Over the past year or so, whenever his wife, Miley, decided to leave him home alone, all sorts of crazy stuff started happening with no trace other than a spirit. For this year, Praise desperately tried to obtain evidence so that he could inform his wife without the risk of being seen as crazy. Sadly, though, this did not turn out well, and every single time he pulled out a camera, the activity halted as if it was never there. He started to use the camera as a safety mechanism, holding it in his hand whenever Miley left the house. On one fateful day, though, the ghost had finally had enough with this counter.
Se escucha que se están moviendo las pinches sillas. Ay, su puta madre. Van 2 veces que apago ese güey y se vuelve a prender. Y se escuchaba que se estaban moviendo las pinches sillas. Ayer también, pero ahorita estoy escuchando más. Verga, güey. No mames, no mames, no mames, no mames. ¿Quién eres? ¿Qué quieres? ¿Quién quieres asustar? Al chile aquí no vas a asustar a nadie, güey. No sé qué sea, no sé quién quieras. Estamos bien encomendados, apá. La flaquita nos protege y aquí nadie puede hacer nada. Pinche ventilador de mierda. No te pases de verga. Ay, que su puta madre. Vamos a desconectarlo, chingar su madre. No mames, no mames, no mames. La neta ahora se me sacó un pedo esta madre. Pinche vaso le dejaron las pelonas. La neta sí estoy asustado. Un chingo, pero sí me saca de pedo esta madre. Muévete, nada más puedes mover una pinche silla y un vaso. No que muy chingón. A la verga.
For the first time in forever, the spirit started acting up on camera, and this is why you can hear Praise laughing rather than trembling in fear. After gaining this evidence, he brought it to his wife immediately after she returned, and to his surprise, she actually believed him. They are currently working together to get rid of this problem, and will hopefully find a solution in the near future. Alex is a female whose content has been in several previous videos on this channel. Her house has been haunted for quite some time now, and in the last video that she featured in, she managed to decipher what the being haunting her actually was. It was her husband. Now on the surface, this gave her a sense of warmth and comfort, knowing that he would not intentionally disrupt or hurt her. However, she was really starting to question his ideas, and the following clip really strengthened this suspicion. The footsteps and banging could be heard from all around the house, and it even got so bad that the boxes collapsed without any visible human interaction. After capturing all of this, Alex sat down in defeat and cried for hours upon hours. She knew that her husband wouldn't do this, but was seriously starting to question her confidence on the subject. Or perhaps this spirit wasn't him at all, rather an evil entity. Alexi's story will more than likely continue, so subscribe to the channel so that you get to see her in future videos. Enrique was strolling through his store before the markets opened to make sure that everything was in check. Double-checking your stock before opening was key in the markets that he operated in, because theft was extremely common. This was because the market was outdoors, which meant high-level security systems, such as security tags and cameras, wouldn't be able to do the trick. Regardless, the thieves were about to be the least of Enrique's concerns, because once he turned a corner, the unexpected happened.
Aburrido sin poder dormir, viendo a Chucky y cuidando un puesto. Todo solo. Vengan a comprar a estas horas. Su puta madre. Ay, cabrón.
Out of nowhere, the clown antique turned to face Enrique, and this understandably startled him. No one had purchased the clown in over 2 months, and it had never indicated a haunted presence inside it. Using his business-orientated mind, though, Enrique used this footage to increase the clown's value from $15 to $300 because he was certain that some sort of collector would love it. He was correct. The doll sold within a week. Now the next clip is very simple, and is probably the least eventful one I have ever included on this channel. Do not be fooled though, because the backstory behind this clip far exceeds any other on this channel, which is quite a nice contradiction if I do say so myself. The clip involved Faye, a young woman lying in bed in her new home. Her parents were rather poor, so they had to settle for a cheap house, and fortunately found a bargain, a 2-floor detached house for just $50,000. The family snatched the offer without doing any background research whatsoever. But after the clip you're about to see took place, they decided that maybe background research was necessary after all.
Oh my god. It's gonna shut again. Oh fuck. Oh fuck.
The reason that the house was so cheap was because it was haunted by a family who had all gone missing on the same day. Of course, this decreased the house's value, hence why the poorest of the poor used it. They regretted their choices, but at the end of the day, it was the best that they could get. Ghost Theory is a YouTube channel renowned for exploring and debunking haunted locations across the United Kingdom, and have actually become rather successful doing so. With over 100,000 subscribers, it only makes sense for the group to continue doing what they do, and so they upload very frequently. The following footage is a clip from one of these videos, and it was odd, even for their standards.
Hello? Oh. Wow. Okay.
That made me jump.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Okay. There was someone in there. There was someone just there, Joe. There was fucking goosebumps. That was someone just there, right? That noise and then that.
There was no windows open. None of these windows were open. How the hell is that? Look. Completely sealed shut. Completely sealed shut.
It's boiling up here as well.
Where's the air moving? That was like someone was just pushing up against it.
I was like...
That's so cool.
Noise.
What created that first noise?
That was loud. That was loud. I've got goosebumps.
Yeah.
What the hell?
I know.
Where was it? Where was that noise?
Don't know.
That was loud.
It wasn't that. Hang on, let me put this back up. Oh, it's just settling down. How is that happening?
Usually, paranormal events are left up for discussion on their legitimacy, but this one was so obviously a spirit. The fact that nobody was on the other side made denying the presence very difficult, and it was amazing content for the Ghost Theory team. No one can work out any logical reason for this to happen, making their credibility much higher. Harry and Olivia were a couple who had been dealing with the paranormal world for quite some time now. However, they believed that they had finally destroyed it. After saging the entire house, they went an entire week without experiencing anything out of the ordinary. And it is important to note that this was a new record, truly convincing them that their years of horror were over. Little did they know that the spirit haunting them was only just getting started. And in the clip that you are about to watch, it took its opportunity to attack. Both dogs were in the room, meaning that none of them could have been using the toy outside. Furthermore, both humans who were in the home were in that same room, meaning only two possibilities could have happened. Either it was an intruder or a ghost, and due to there being no damages or visible people, it was likely the latter. James was a 30-year-old man who had no interest in paranormal activity until around a year before the upcoming recording. You see, he lived a normal life and was very outward about his beliefs regarding religion. He believed that science was the only answer, and that a spiritual world is just nonsense. Little did he know that he was about to learn his lesson. Progressively, over the days and months, some odd things started happening in James's house, until eventually he could not ignore it for any longer. He contacted a priest to visit his home and bless it, which they did. However, this did not solve anything because the following clip occurred shortly after.
Yo.
For an unknown reason, James kept hearing a rattling sound coming from the cabinet you could see, and he decided to investigate it. It was at this very moment that his gaming chair turned around without any contact from anything, and this obviously shocked him. He truly believed that getting the house blessed was an amazing idea and would save him from the evil entities, but surprisingly, this was not the case, and things only got more extreme.
Yo. Yo.
Somehow, a few more objects in this room moved, and this was enough to completely convince James that he had no chance of banishing the entity living in his house. He made his new mission to sell the house off at a good price and purchase a new one closer to his parents. We were not updated on how this mission went. In a past video on this channel, we have gone into the life of Daniel, a young adult who was going through one of the worst times of his life. He and his now ex-girlfriend Kate decided they were going to split rent on a property together to make things much easier. However, she broke up with him shortly after and went back to their parents. This really put Daniel in the mud because he had terms with the landlord that the house would be occupied for a minimum of 6 months, so he was going to be billed for that length of time. As if this was not stressful enough, he was struggling to sleep due to some strange phenomena from the closet. At random intervals, he would hear sounds and see movement from inside there, which was what he wanted whatsoever. The video I am about to show you is the most recent one from his struggles, and it gets bad.
So it just started knocking in the closet again, and actually the doll has moved since yesterday because it was in the corner, kind of on its back looking upwards, and now it's upright, so that's kind of scary. See if it'll knock anymore. Or it'll just move the shirt in the closet. Hey, if you can hear me, just move it again. Alright. We can actually just go check it out. Because there's no one in here. It's not really, it's kind of cluttered, so yesterday it was over here.
Daniel actually managed to communicate with the spirit through moving the shirt, which was quite a smart method of getting around the spirit to human barrier. Surprisingly, the spirit complied with his questions and continued to move the shirt, which proved that there was something present that night, although that being a bad thing. In a very recent video, we witnessed a James experiment which is going to take some additional explaining for those of you who did not watch the content I am referencing. William Sloane was a normal boy who believed that his house was being haunted by a spirit he decided to name James. Every single day, things so far out of the ordinary you would not believe it were happening, and despite William telling his parents all of this, none of them believed a word. In order to counter this, he decided to start running James tests, which were experiments trying to gain evidence of the ghost's existence. This video comes from a rather peculiar test that I believe you should see. Evil spirits are more tempted to tamper with holy books, so William decided it would be smart to place a book discussing religion on his living room bookshelf. As well as this, he put a camera opposite the shelf in order to capture anything that happened to the book on tape, and he caught something all right. Take a look.
Okay, I've been going over the footage from last night, and it's pretty crazy. And I don't know what's going on, but I tell you, I've been blaming my cats since I got them for pulling my records off the shelf. And I don't know, sometimes it might be them, but it definitely wasn't last night.
First of all, the holy book was on the floor in no time, and this proved William's hypothesis at the start of this experiment. Whatever was in his house was evil. Just to put the icing on the cake, James moved an item on the table all the way across it to confirm that the book did not in fact magically fall to the ground. This James test proved a success, and comment if you like them, because I will be sure to include more in future. In the following video, Mackenzie was in her room building her new bed when she suddenly got the urge to look out into the neighborhood. This urge came from a dark feeling that something was up, and her heart continuously assured her that this disturbance was coming from outside. Listening to her urges, she went over to the window and checked up on the streets. It was at this point that something extremely strange caught her eye.
I'm like fucking scared. There is no one standing there, but there's a silhouette, like a shadow of a person. Yeah.
Strangely, the shadow of a human could be seen on the wall, and it was evident that nobody was standing on the street. Mackenzie was very perplexed by this, and felt the dark feelings in her body surge further. She knew for certain that this was not meant to be happening. Fortunately though, she was not the only person who got a weird feeling from this, and discovered that her entire audience felt the same way, which forced her to produce a follow-up explanation.
Hi, I decided to record this video because when I saw amount of comments and videos and direct messages for the video that I have recorded like on Saturday, so I was shocked. So people who are saying that it was spray painted, no, it was not. I'm gonna show you a video. I'm gonna show what is happening now. People that are saying that I have photoshopped that, damn, it took me 4 like tries for me to be able to record this video, because I didn't realize that there are like stories and videos, and in videos you can select like 3 minutes long video. So that's another thing. Even though I'm a white lady in her 30s, and usually in horror movies we are killed first, I that day, like 5 minutes after I took that video, I went downstairs to check what is like causing that, because even though I was very scared, I was like, I'm too curious. Nothing could cause that. Nothing. Tomorrow when I'm gonna go to work, I'm gonna take a video so that if anyone is interested, like you can check that yourself. But that, like, you know, like a shadow can be either like a direct projection of something, or like it needs to have like a trail from something that is like causing this to have a shadow. I'm like, oh. But yeah, it did not have that. It did not. And also the like the lamppost that was like very, very far ahead, it was not reaching. Like I could see like when its shadow was finishing. And also the building that is up on the opposite street, like opposite that building, you know, that shadow, it was not causing that. I have no idea. I do believe in those kind of things a bit, but not as much. And I was so scared. I was not a little bit scared. I was scared. But then I decided to enjoy my bank holiday weekend. And people from UK, I hope you enjoyed the bank holiday. Yeah. So as you see, there is nothing. Nothing at all. Yeah. That's a lamppost on like next to my neighbors. And it would project like here. So yeah. Nothing.
In this explanation, she broke down the important aspects of the prior clip and debunked all of the allegations that the shadow was not that of a ghost. The main theory was that it was cast by something real and only appeared as a human figure. But after having a look at the street towards the end of the explanations, this theory was shut down immediately. Mike and Sam were 2 well-renowned ghost hunters around their town, and when I say renowned, I mean it. They would go on expeditions every week, desperate to find scientific evidence of the paranormal world, and in the next clip, they came very close. It took place in the woodlands next to a highway, where it was rumored that somebody passed away willingly. Their goal on this mission was to capture an interaction with the spirit of that person on camera, to prove that spirits are always watching over their point of death, and it went well in that book.
My name is Mike, this is my friend Sam. Hello. We don't mean any disrespect, we're only here to learn and communicate. This may be your last opportunity to communicate with anyone.
Right when you asked that last question, the camera just died.
Really? Was it charged?
Yeah, it was fully charged. I mean, I K2, check the K2. Is that food over there?
I haven't seen anything, bro.
Dude, something moved over there, I swear. Wait, it's moving.
Whoa! What's that?
If you paid very close attention to the ending of this clip, a pale figure could be seen gliding across the camera. This was very weird considering Mike and Sam were the only people on the expedition, and the figure looked way too transparent to be that of a human being. I guess the truth is that we will never really know though. All we do know is that this is the closest that Mike and Sam got to undeniable evidence of the paranormal world. Ghost hunting is a profession carried out by only the bravest of people, and that characteristic can definitely be said to describe Henry, the British hunter that you are about to step into the shoes of. Henry had been ghost hunting for 3 years, up until the point of this clip, and he fell in love with the hobby, becoming one of the hardest people to strike fear into on the planet. However, on the adventure that we are discussing in this video, the spirit got very close to breaking him. It took place at 1 AM in an abandoned mansion described as the place of nightmares. It was well known around the mansion's area that it was not a normal place, but nobody truly knew why, since the last family to live there did not pass away within its walls. Anyway, that is besides the main point. This mansion was haunted, and Henry was inside it. Let's take a look at some of the events that happened.
This place is fucking horrible.
Now, other than the drawer opening at the beginning, you are probably wondering what on earth made this clip worthy of making the mansion a certainly haunted place. The drawer could have easily slipped open by itself, due to a problem with it, so in the eyes of most people, this was far from evidence. Well, I want you to take note of where you saw a fire extinguisher here, on the table at the back, before I play something from a lot later in the video. Ready? Here we go.
I smell smoke. That's someone had a cigarette.
If you paid enough attention, you would be able to see that the extinguisher moved to a different location in the room. This made no sense because Henry did not revisit the room in between these timestamps, so it could not have been him. A lot more happened in that mansion, but I do not have the time to include it in this video, so subscribe to not miss the future clips from this adventure. In the following video, Daza was selected for the night shift in his local corner store. The staff liked to alternate this shift because it did not feel fair for the person working on it to be paid the same as the rest, because it was obviously a much more demanding time to come into work. At the time of this recording, Daza was finishing off rearranging the shelves and was then going to lock up the store for the night to prevent any robberies from taking place. This was probably the most annoying job in the store because of how many things needed shutting off before the store became closed, but regardless, he needed to do it anyways. It was during this job role that something absolutely jaw-dropping occurred though, and he was fortunate to have noticed it happen because of how quickly it happened.
Yo queriendo grabar mi rutina y pasa esto.
Now I doubt even you managed to understand what happened in this clip, but do not worry because I will explain it to you. At the timestamp of 37 seconds, a figure could be seen walking past the shelves, and Daza obviously went to check that he had not gotten a final customer to make his life even harder. To his delight, there was no customer on the other side. To his dismay rather, this meant that whatever passed by must have been a spirit. Since that day, He has always felt an odd feeling in the store, but his manager says he is probably experiencing the placebo effect. Regardless of what he was experiencing, though, it was 100% that he at least encountered the spirit once. 2 days after that incident, the same employee was on a night shift when something equally as suspicious as the last time occurred. It is important to note that he was mopping the entire floor, so it was impossible that what he found was present beforehand. Take a look.
Pensé que era puro pedo que anda una niña.
Acabo de trapear. No me lo van a creer, pero... Guachen. Guachen. Si son cuerdas para distinguirlas, si son unas patitas. Ay, güey, no seas mamón, verga.
Shockingly, the floor was covered in footprints, except not ones that you would be likely to see. They were white and flat, as if they weren't real, and Darza explained that even after feeling the prints, they just felt like the floor did normally. This was made even more mysterious when Darza came back to work the next evening to find that they were absent despite him leaving them there so he could show his boss. If that does not scream spirit to you, then I have no idea what does. Clayton was in his home minding his own business when some strange noises forced him to step out of his way to solve things. It was roughly 2 p.m. in the afternoon when this happened, and Clayton explained after the incident that when the incident happened, a feeling of chills traveled through him like an electric shock. This is common for spiritual encounters, so take a look.
I don't know what's going on, but I'm hearing noise in there in the kitchen. Sound like I heard cabinet or something. I don't know what it is. Opening up or something. If there's a spirit here, let me know. Oh, shit!
Somehow, an array of items started to move on the kitchen counter, and it was very clear that no visible presence was toying with them. This, paired with the fact that Clayton suddenly felt cold, confirmed that a spirit had been in the house that day. Fortunately, Clayton has not encountered anything since leading him to believe this was a one-time experience, but if something does happen, he will inform us, and I'll put it on the channel. The following video took place in a little girl's bedroom, and her parents had recently set up a security camera in there. You see, they were convinced that something was not right about their house, so in order to try and decipher what was wrong, they deployed CCTV all around the building. For a good few weeks, this method did nothing for them, and they were seriously considering moving due to experiencing an unsolvable problem. However, just as they were driving around searching for local houses that they could invest in, the father of the house received a notification from their daughter's room. In fear, he checked, and this is what he found. Through the lens of the camera, he could see that some unexplainable stuff was happening, and this allowed him to piece 2 and 2 together. The house felt weird because there was a haunting happening. With this information, he and his wife discussed how to move forward, and they unanimously decided to stay put. They contacted the local church for help with banishing the spirit, but did not want to run away with the fear that it would just come back again. Now, on this channel, we have seen several spirits, but one of the less common ones that we come across are mimics. These emotionally tormenting ghosts copy and paste another human's voice to lure their victims to a location where their life will become hell. So, on a side note, you should always be careful what voices you trust. But would you trust your own voice? You see, there is a very slim chance that a mimic will copy and paste your voice against you in order to cause stress and confusion, and this is what the person in the upcoming clip was forced to experience. This was a very interesting clip, so I highly advise that you have a watch.
I was watching reels when I heard the knocking when I asked, "Who are you?" Then, in reply, I heard my own voice.
Cool. Hey, go on. Mama? Run, Joe.
Weirdly, the spirit continued to retort back to Abdullah, using his voice, and this frightened him for obvious reasons. Hearing someone else's voice from something that is not them would be scary enough, but hearing your own is on a whole other world of terrifying. Eventually, the craziness came to a halt, and Abdullah was finally able to get some rest. Regardless of this good night's sleep though, the mimic would not go so easy on him next time, and he needed some preparation to cope with it. Not that he received any.
I was about to sleep and then this happened again. It was around 2 a.m. in the morning.
Ruhan?
That is my voice. If you don't know what is going on, so see my previous videos. They mimic my voice always, but they don't comment.
This time around, the spirit was much more aggressive and emitted banging noises onto the door as if it was physically trying to break in. In reality, its only goal was to strike fear into Abdullah, and it is safe to say that in this moment it was experiencing success. Once the spirit finished its second night of tormenting Abdullah, he decided that enough was enough and made a strong vow to himself. He vowed that if the mimic came to his door one more time, then he would open it to truly confirm that it was not someone else playing tricks. He hoped that it was his brother or someone along those lines, so that he knew he was safe, but he did not get what he wanted whatsoever.
So this happened again.
मुझे पता है बात वही मुझसे अब मत करना.
To his dismay, nobody was standing on the other side, and he was forced into a wave of acceptance. He knew that what he was experiencing was a haunting, but what he did not know was the second steps. In case he watches this video, make sure to comment some ideas for him. Ever since the recent surge in technological advancements, security cameras have become the norm. and almost every single firm has a bunch of them set up within their premises. The business that we are about to look into was no different, except the footage that their cameras caught was far from what you would expect. Most CCTV systems end up capturing nothing special, as it is rarer than you would think for a theft to happen in a store. However, on the odd occasion, these systems will catch criminals red-handed and serve a real purpose. The cameras in this video didn't match any of those descriptions and made the security team jump when checking them. The time was roughly 3 a.m. and the staff were drinking coffee, having a chat and staring at the camera monitors. It was at this moment that the craziest experience of both their lives happened. All the items in the room started to go bizarre, as if a monkey had been let loose in a room full of bananas. Everything in the corridor was caught dropping and sliding, and the guards were not brave enough to go and face whatever the cause was. Not that any of us would be. The mystery of what caused such an odd event remains unsolved, despite many internet theorists giving it their best attempt. Feel free to have some thoughts for yourself, but there is no logical answer that you can come up with. Abdul was not the type for adventures. He would spend most of his days working his 9 to 5 before coming home and getting some rest. But for once, this routine was about to change. It was 12 past midnight and Abdul had followed the usual drill. Come home, eat dinner, and get some rest. You can't really go wrong with a plan like that. He had gotten to sleep pretty quickly compared to usual, and was in a deep slumber by 11 p.m. Little did he know that his slumber would be stopped just an hour later, and he was forced to investigate the banging noises that woke him up.
Assalamu alaikum, bargaru nima shpa da nima sub nishta kor ki awaaz yuma aw bar gir dagi ki tasu wawre khawazu ya Allah khair ya Allah khair nima shpa da nima shpa bargaru tasu gore wor dabi do bachi di tasu gore ya Allah khair قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس يا الله خير يا الله خير سوكي لك سوكي يا الله خير بسم الله الله أكبر بسم الله الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله سوكي لك وګوره مرګوري سوکم نشته یا الله خیر یا الله خیر علي یا الله خیر یا الله خیر.
As if the repetitive banging was not spooky enough, a figure in the same of a grim reaper blocked the camera for the ending part of the clip. The strange thing is that Abdul did not see this outline in real life, and only noticed its presence after glancing at his phone screen. Immediately after noticing that it was there, Abdul sprinted away from the scene, but it was not enough to make him quit completely. This was his property after all, and he knew that he needed to show the poltergeist that this was the case. So he did. He strolled around the garden like a boss, and eventually came across the room of which he did not enter much. For some reason, he felt the urge to open the door and see its contents another time, so he did, only to be ambushed by instant regret.
Garo abal oras periano bedi jura ki samal jod kade ho nan rala manan la pa khair kade di auzu billahi minash shaitani rajim bismillahir rahmanir rahim la ilaha illa allah muhammadur rasulullah margaro pakite ugore la ilaha illa allah muhammadur rasulullah la ilaha illa allah tasu mung da kor wani na prede ze kana de ze ya allah khair ya allah khair la ilaha illallah.
After opening the door, he was swarmed by objects moving alone, and he had no idea how to react to such a shock. Instinctively, his body forced him into flight mode, and he fled into his house for good. This time, he was too frightened to continue searching and just wanted the warmth of his own home. However, he was too far gone. He wasn't even allowed to enjoy this privilege.
Assalamu alaikum, margaro mahami team ne mahami. O de jumesh pada ha. د جمعې شپه ده په کمره کې راله سم الله غستې تاسو ګورئ ښه یا الله خیر یا الله خیر استغفر الله الله اکبر قل اعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس اله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس يا الله خير 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 مرګرو ګوره ها تاسو ته ګوره بسم الله دو ګوره کمرې رااله ونډه راورانه کړې تاسو ګوره ها الله خير يا الله خير يا الله خير استغفر الله الله اکبر الله اکبر یا الله خیر
Just like outside, his house was riddled with paranormal activity, and this was a first-time experience for Abdul. He was a very religious man, so believed that Allah would protect him if he prayed that night, so he did. Only time will tell if it worked. The following video took place in the office of Dom, a middle-aged employee in the economics business. His job was to calculate all of the revenue and profits of the business he was working for, which was extremely difficult considering how many sales they averaged. The job would involve updating things every 5 or so minutes, and it was ridiculously tiring. So tiring, in fact, that it forced Dom to sleep on the shift one time, and if it was not for the spirit on scene, who knows how much he would have missed, potentially facing the sack. Dom's office phone started calling, and it was a loud and repetitive sound, enough to make anybody rise from their slumber. Unsurprisingly, it did the same for Dom, and he went to answer. However, what he heard was not nice. According to him, the thing on the other end told him he was being watched, and assuming it was a prank, he hung up immediately. Little did he know this was not the case, and he would suffer from paranormal activity for the rest of his time in the office until he eventually decided to leave. Abdul was a painter, and a very good one to say the least. He was one of the most popular people in town for paint jobs, and it was no wonder he made a living off it. In several interviews for his local newspaper regarding his quick jump to success, Abdul explained how painting was a relaxation method for him, and he was essentially being paid to be in his element, which was perfect. I guarantee you he would not have made this statement if he knew of the severe drama that was about to occur on one of his missions, and it was insane to say the least. Take a look.
Yalla khair da gora kha yalla khair margaru suk bade kur ki nishta da gore kha yalla khair قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس يلا خير موږ سو بیره مرګرو دا کور دم کو او تاسو کله د جنکو نمبر را لګي کله د مرګرو نمبر را لګي دا اوس غب نه دی مرګرو ما ته نمبر را سینډ کې د چا سره چې نمبري د مولا ما ته را سینډ کې سیدا پلیز تاسو مهرباني وکړئ دا نمبر را سینډ کې دا وګورئ ښه هیڅ څوک به دې کور کې نشته او دا حال دې دا وګورئ ښه یا الله خیر یا الله خیر یا الله خیر یا الله خیر دا وګوره ښه روزانه دا علي ښه موږ څو بیرې دا کور دم کو یا الله خیر خدای خیر یا الله خیر.
In the front porch of the house which Abdul was doing his work at, all sorts of mysterious activity started to happen, and it was very obvious that these things were caused by some form of paranormal entity. After witnessing such a bizarre series of events unfold, Abdul informed the house owners of what happened and refused to come back to this property ever again. They called him lazy and tried to file a lawsuit, but due to the evidence that Abdul was able to obtain, they failed, and he was happy to continue his business elsewhere. If you are a regular here on Haunter, I am more than sure that you have seen me discuss Roland with you before. Roland is the most featured creator on this channel due to his high volume of engaging paranormal captures, and some of them are so wild that it is hard to believe he experiences things like this every week of his life. These doubts are instantly shut down when you see his clips due to how realistic and eerie they truly are, with the following one being no different. It took place in his house, as per usual, which has been haunted for a long period of time now. Most people would attempt to banish spirits from their home, but Roland decides to keep them around so that he has material to continue making videos for his large YouTube channel. Unsurprisingly, this material keeps on coming, and here are some of his best recent ones.
Are you a positive energy? A negative energy? Can you let me know what kind of energy you are? Oh shit! Oh, look, it is fucking moving. What the fuck? This is the boot. This is the boot from the doll.
Now, before this clip started, Roland placed down 2 ornaments and gave the spirit some very clear instructions. If it gave off positive energy, then it should tilt towards the turtle, and if it was carrying negative energy, it should move to the opposite ornament. Unfortunately, it did the latter, and Roland now knew what he was dealing with. Like usual though, he kept his cool and started filming all around the house for more evidence of a spiritual presence. And he definitely found a good amount of it. He did a full search down of the house until he came right back to where he started, the kitchen. Roland was relieved that he did not see anything else in the house, but on the other end was disappointed that he failed to gain any more content, or did he?
Is there a spirit moving this drawer right here? All right, that boot is now gone. Just disappeared. If there's a spirit in here, let me know where the boot is.
Once he revisited the kitchen, he was swarmed with a cold feeling again, and due to his experience in the field, he knew why this feeling had come about. Calmly, Roland beckoned the spirit to move the drawer and then started filming, only to catch it opening on its own accord. We will continue to showcase Roland's hauntings on the channel, to make sure to subscribe in order to not miss it. Similar to Roland, Mikhailo is another face that we are starting to see frequently on the channel, and he is renowned for his paranormal experiences. While Roland finds his own house being haunted by spirits though, Mikhailo goes out and seeks poltergeists himself in a business known as the ghost hunting industry. These hunters are hired by homeowners who believe their place to be haunted, and their goal is to exterminate all entities from the property. The upcoming series of clips come from one of Mikhailo's most recent ghost hunts, and they are eventful to put it lightly. Let's just say his paycheck must have been pretty large for him to remove this thing. For some reason, all sorts of crazy movements happened in this room, with the harshest one causing the entire cabinet to collapse. However, that is the least of my concerns. What made this clip more disturbing than other paranormal sightings was the fact that several objects were moving at once. This meant that there must have been several ghosts in the room, because even poltergeists don't have the power of telekinesis. After capturing this and placing it into his evidence file, Mikhailo took the rest of the day to analyze it, but swore to be back for more. Stay tuned for future videos where his story will continue. On June the 23rd of 2017, Stephen was upstairs preparing to do the laundry as a nice surprise for his wife, when suddenly he heard a strange bang from what seemed like the kitchen. After roughly a minute of contemplating his next move, he decided to go downstairs and investigate the crime scene, and what he discovered was horrifying.
God, guys, I'm so scared right now. I just woke up and I went downstairs and all the cabinets are open, and I went to bed last night. These cabinets, they were closed, and I really think this poltergeist or spirit is really out to get me. But look, these cabinets, they were all closed last night when I went to bed, and I woke up, this is how they are. I'm really, really scared right now. Just want to shut all these. I figured I'd get it on camera so if something happens, at least it's documented. Alright. I think I'm just gonna go downstairs and chill out and edit for a little while. Oh shit! Oh fuck! Oh fuck me. I gotta upload this. I gotta upload this before anything happens and nobody gets to see this. Ow. Okay. I think I broke my ankles.
Towards the start of this clip, things were very unbelievable and seemed pre-planned, but moments later we got to see the true trauma that Stephen was forced to go through. All sorts of silverware and glasses started to fall from the shelves, which had been closed for a second time, almost confirming that Stephen was not staging the entire thing. In response to this, he informed his parents and they allowed him to stay with them at their house for a few weeks until he felt safe to enter again. This is the last update that we have received. The trend of getting fast food rather than taking your own time to make it is only going up across the United States, and this shows in the next video. It took place in Michigan and was captured using a Ring doorbell camera, which on the topic of trends are also going kind of crazy at the moment. Anyways, Adam's girlfriend Leona asked him to go and get them some food for the night, and being the amazing boyfriend he was, Adam accepted. Little did he know that there would be a surprise waiting for him at the doorstep. And no, it was not from his girl. In fact, no one has any idea what caused it. Now at first watch, I struggled to notice what actually went on in this clip, but after some investigating, I realized that some form of cloud figure glided past Adam while he was waiting for Leona to come and open the secondary door for him. To make things much creepier, Leona explained that she did not see anything but the camera, and Adam did. Was this just some visual wind from a certain angle, which would be very unlikely, or a real sighting of a poltergeist? Let me know in the comments. In visiting a haunted location, you are basically asking for something wild to happen, and this was the case for Scott and Travis, two very close friends who decided to explore an old morgue together. These two were what modern people would describe as each other's day ones. They had been friends ever since kindergarten and grew up together, finding the same hobbies and interests. They were basically perfect for each other. However, one difference stood between them. Travis was definitely on the more bold side, whereas Scott got frightened of things easily, and it took a lot of convincing from Trav to convince Scott to come with him on this trip. He succeeded though.
Yeah, it's a wicked place, isn't it?
Well, the nuke perfect one.
Yeah, I know. I was going to read up more about it and put it in the caption. Want to climb through it?
Yeah, of course.
Sick there, Bit of fucking tight.
A little bit tight, mate. Fucking hell. Mate, I don't even dare go on.
Oh, fuck me, I need to follow.
Mate, I hope that was just the fucking wind. What the fuck?
Travis was the one who could be seen climbing through the hole, and whenever he was near Scott, nothing seemed to happen. Whenever he left Scott's presence, though, all sorts of stuff started to kick off, almost as if the spirit could sense that Scott was the weakest link. Since when did these poltergeists get so much power? Ghost sightings are more common than you think, with hundreds of new experiences being posted to social media every single day. However, there is one form of paranormal experience rarer than all others, and only a select few people get to live them. I don't know whether you would call seeing a spirit in this form very lucky or extraordinarily unfortunate, but I'll let you decide after watching the clip.
Acá está despegada.
Bastante grafiteada. Si se pueden ver todas nuestras exploraciones de Punk Rock TV, mira que hay un cuartito. No hay nada. Ahí están así, digamos, están todas grafitis, pequeños grafitis. Hay un pequeño cuarto, la ventana. Aquí hay una botella a tomar aquí. Aparte venía a grafitear, más que nada es por el vándalo que vienen aquí. Y aquí están las pequeñas botellas que nos agarró la lluvia. Ahí está el agua. Entonces está chispeando afuera. Y ahorita gracias a nuestra amiga Chelly vinimos a estas casas porque no las conocíamos. Ella sabe la ubicación. Y ahora sí que están bastante impresionantes, digo, las locaciones que tenemos nosotros. Pero nunca había como una casa así, la neta. Así que, pues, que... Cállate. Güey, no mames. Güey, verga, se escuchan niños allá afuera.
Ya vámonos.
Aguanta. No mames. No quiero ni subir. Porfa. Mami, verga, vas a aquí en el puto bosque en una casa abandonada, niños. Buenas noches. Habitación, güey. ¿Qué más? Buenas noches. No mames. Chica tu madre. Uy, vamos. Corre. Aguanta.
Strangely, two human figures poked their heads around the door, except something was off about them. They were fully blacked out. To add to the lore of this apparition, the man behind the camera was exploring a supposed haunted house where a male SA'd a girl and oofed her before oofing himself too. Very dark indeed. The following video was recorded in the household of Sheila, an aging woman who had no real opinion on the paranormal world. She was known around town as your ordinary old lady, always complaining and had no idea how to operate technology. However, she fortunately did know how to record. One random day, Sheila heard some strange noises coming from her living room, so decided that it would be best to go and investigate. Little did she know that what was happening would leave her discomforted for hours.
Look, the light is on. You can clearly see there is no fishing wire or strings. It's just hovering. Look at that.
As weird as this may have been, the phone continued to levitate above its dock, and it was clear that there were no strings or items of intervention attached. Sheila decided to film the incident so that she could show her friends at the club she visited, called the Ladies' Circle, who offered help to those who were struggling. To her dismay, though, they all laughed at her, and she was nicknamed Psycho Sheila. After being given this nickname, Sheila's self-esteem deflated, and she decided to leave the Ladies' Circle despite it doing so much for her. She informed her only child that she made that decision, and feeling sympathetic, the daughter visited her mother for a weekend. It was during this visit that the phone-moving spirit gained another witness, this time a much more believable one.
Don't touch her. You don't have to touch her. No.
Whilst Sheila's daughter was using the restroom, the phone started to levitate again, and she called her daughter back into the room to make sure that she saw what was happening. Suddenly, the phone dropped back down as if the spirit was attempting to hide itself from another witness, but it was too late. Throughout the following week, the duo visited several churches hoping that they would be able to help them overcome the haunting, and only one followed through. A priest was sent to Sheila's house and successfully banished the poltergeist which was haunting it, and Sheila was readmitted into the Ladies' Circle, where they all apologized to her for their horrible actions. The lesson of the story was that even the darkest and most spooky of stories can have a positive ending. Mikhailo was a young ghost hunter who had only recently found the business in his interests. He grew up for most of his life being told that he was useless to society because he failed every single one of his exams and was unemployed. Regardless of such a horrible start to his life, the paranormal world saved him. When he was just 11 years old, he experienced his first haunting, and being honest with himself, he was terrified of it. The back of his mind, on the other hand, found the encounter interesting, and he has been wanting more of them ever since. The upcoming clip comes from his second mission as a ghost hunter, where he was hired to search an abandoned house for paranormal activity. A family of 4 were all murdered together in the household 3 years before the recording, and this is why the council believed it to be haunted. They just needed Mikhailo to certify this for them. On his mission, he found several leads that showed just how haunted the house was, and here was the first one. Strangely, the mirror started shaking aggressively, and it was very obvious that this was happening without any kind of human interaction. Nothing could be seen on screen that could have possibly caused such a shake for such a drastic period, which led Mikhailo to include this sighting in his end of mission report. But this was not the only thing he found. To be precise, he was only just getting started.
Как нужно включать ЭГФ. Так, по ЭГФ тишина. Грохот продолжается. Дай мне знак.
Shortly after beckoning the ghost to give him a sign of its presence, a straw shelf with a teddy on it started to shuffle its way in front of the doorway. It is extremely rare for a spirit to comply so easily with people, especially a ghost hunter who is usually there to exterminate them. So there was a lot of speculation regarding this capture. People believe that the family who haunted the place wanted to be banished so that they could be set free from the four walls. However, others think there was a much darker reason for their obligation to obey. Perhaps they were incentivizing Mikhailo to continue his mission so that they could haunt him further. If that was the case, then they had a huge success. The shaking of this portrait continued for around 15 minutes after the recording ended, and Mikhailo finally had enough evidence of a ghost to be paid for his work. He imported all of the clips into a folder which he shared with the client and posted them to YouTube so that he could gain more employers through that platform. It is safe to say that his career will only go up from here, and if he posts anything else, then I will be sure to share it with you, so make sure to subscribe. On October the 6th of 2011, a man who lived on his own was making himself some dinner when he suddenly felt the urge to go into the living room. This urge was one that he could not and still cannot explain, but what he does know is that he could not stop himself from going there, and only time would tell why. Once he entered the room, he explained that he felt cold and unwelcome, which was not a usual feeling in his house. Little did he know that it was a spiritual presence causing this.
Holy crap. Holy crap. I can't believe I just got that on film. Oh my, holy crap. I was just moving a little bit there for me touching it, but I don't believe that just happened. I didn't think I'd get anything. Well, I'm definitely going to be filming this area more. If there's anyone out there, please shut this door again. If there's anybody at all out there, please just shut the door. Move it just a little bit, just to show us that you're truly out there. Come on, do it one more time. One more. That's all I'm asking for. Just one more time, please. Show us that you're here. Show us your presence. Just move the door. Please, show us you're here. Show us that you're present. Let your presence be known by shutting this door one more time. I know you already did it, but please do it again. I don't know if I'm gonna get it again. Can't believe I just saw that. If you're out there, please shut this door one more time. That's all I'm asking. Just move. Oh my god. Holy shit.
Okay, I'm getting seriously freaked out right now. I'll show you guys one more time that there's, oh my, holy crap. There's nothing even attached here.
Now it took a lot of begging, but eventually the ghost made its mind up and closed the door a second time. What made this time more impactful was that the man had shown the audience that the door had no strings attached beforehand, so it was clear that this must have been done by a spirit. As well as this, both sides of the door were on camera, so unlike the first time around, there were no accusations of there being a human on the other side. Now it is safe to say that humans can cook, and that is an undeniable fact. Just look at the things that we have made over the years. From paella to curry, the dishes go on, and cultures are very proud of what they have produced. However, we are not the only things that can operate in a kitchen. For some reason, ghost sightings in the kitchen have spiked massively over the last few years, and it is a trend that has come with no explanation. The video that you are about to watch follows said trend perfectly and is disturbing to say the least. Have a watch.
What the fuck was that all about, dude? What the fuck is that all about? I've been trying to fast. Are you telling me that I need to eat? No. Let me try to be healthy. I'm not even...
Somehow the pan moved on its own accord and went completely out of position. It was not like one of those regular collapses where a pan loses balance though. It was unnatural, like something invisible was moving it. To make things even stranger, the teenager who filmed the video, Callum, felt no different than he usually did. A ghostly presence is usually accompanied by a cold feeling, or at least some unease, but not this one, which made the case ever more mysterious. The audience of the clip have been debating for some time now about what kind of spirit this was, and I am sure that the comments in this video can conclude this scenario once and for all, so feel free to share your opinions. If you had to place a bet on where a spirit would be most likely to appear, what would you put your paycheck on? A basement? A graveyard? A historic battlefield? After I introduce you to the next piece of footage, you will not choose any of those options. You will choose a hospital. A nurse was passing by the security room during one of her breaks when she decided that she would have a nosy on how her patient, Dominic, was doing with the doctor. She took out her keys and entered the room full to the brim with monitors showing every room in the hospital, but it was one specific one which managed to catch her eye, and what it showcased was odd, to put it lightly. A weird black shadow figure could be seen standing by one of the hospital beds, and at first the nurse thought it was just a visitor of the patient. However, this would shortly be debunked. Defying all laws of physics, The nurse and the doctor operating in the surgery walked right through the shadow, confirming that they could not see it, nor knew of its presence. This was when the nurse thought it was a ghost. Using her radio, she managed to get in touch with the nurse in the room and asked him whether he could see another person around the hospital bed. His answer was horrible. He could not. To make matters worse, the spirit disappeared after this sentence and never came back again. Ghost experiences are far more common than most people think, but physical apparitions, on the other hand, not so much. An apparition describes when a ghost shows itself to the human eye in physical form, and these sightings are some of the most terrifying things that a human can experience. They can often look like morphed versions of humans, or on other occasions, demons, so it is safe to say that it is good that they are rare. Unfortunately though, some people do have to experience them, and this was the case for the business owner in the following video. She was at her local storage facility placing her stock into the safety of her unit when she noticed something shocking. This sighting was so disturbing that she explained afterwards how she switched facilities immediately and vowed to never return again, even going as far as giving the place 7 half-star reviews on her alt accounts. Think she went too far? Let me know in the comments after you watch it for yourself.
Okay, so I've just put some of my stuff in storage, but I wanted to show you guys this place, and I'm not going down there because the lights are broken and it's creepy as fuck. If I just take you up here, look at this. It is so creepy. It all looks the same. I've got lost in here so many bloody times because of how similar it all looks. Honestly, it's kind of giving me backroom vibes. I mean, just...
The figure looked very unhuman-like, and it made perfect sense why Riley believed that it was the apparition of a paranormal being. She went on to show the video to almost everyone she knew, but as expected, they were not believers, and provided as many quote-unquote logical solutions as they possibly could. Riley was not having any of it though. What she saw was a spirit, and nobody was about to alter her opinions. On a cold and stormy Tuesday night, Alyssa was sleeping very well. She had endured a long and tiresome day at work, so she deserved all of the rest she could get. But sometimes in life, people do not get what they deserve. And this turned out to be the case in the following clip. The clock struck 3 a.m. and Alyssa was woken up by some strange sounds coming from her door. Anxious, she peeked around the corner to see if anyone was standing there, and what she saw was not what she wished to see. To her dismay, a strange cloudy figure could be seen at the door, and the noises continued to happen. Alyssa's breathing became heavy, and she wanted nothing more than to be out of this horrible situation. The problem was, she could not escape and endured the noise for the entire night. On a random Tuesday evening, Sabin, a young Muslim woman, was sitting on her sofa when an absolutely insane 2 minutes happened. She had just returned from mosque and was a woman who followed her religion deeply, claiming to have never sinned since becoming serious about it. Regardless of her good deeds towards Allah though, she somehow still managed to be haunted. Have a watch.
het allemaal? Ik vind het helemaal niet leuk. Ik ben dus helemaal alleen. Oh, dat ding. Oké, ik ga hier weg. Oh, er gebeurt allemaal te veel in mijn huis.
All sorts of objects started to move around in the room, but the main one was her lucky goblet. Sabin only allowed herself to drink from the goblet when she knew she was about to do something dangerous in order to grant herself an advantage. The fact that the ghost tampered with this was very concerning for her. After ending the video, she prayed to Allah for protection, to which it was granted, and she never experienced anything of this sort. Could it have been a test, or was this some sort of demon genuinely attempting to torment her? I guess we, or she, will never know the answer for sure. Now, we have looked into the life of Arash Afnan before, and he is an Indian man who decided to create a TikTok account to document his paranormal findings. He first encountered something from the paranormal world a few years back, when some doors started to open and close by themselves, and since then, it has only gone downhill. I guess he has amassed a decent social media following from it though, so he can hardly complain. The video that you are about to see from him took place 7 months ago and was filmed in the perspective of Arash's son, Raj. Raj was made fun of at school for being very feminine, mainly because of his ownership of a pink teddy which he was attached to a lot, so much that he would have a tantrum after losing it. One day, this day came. Raj lost his pink teddy, and once he figured this out, he tried to find it.
Bising. Nak tidur pun tak boleh. Hantu punya setan. Maning kau sorok? Kau lapar nasi ke setan? Bisinglah lagi. Ada 2 setan. Duduk diamlah. Apa lagi ni?
When he realized his teddy was missing, things around the house started to shake vigorously, as if the spirit was trying its hardest to freak the poor kid out, and it succeeded. The kid, after getting over the shaking, looked under the sink and found his teddy before closing the cupboard and getting ready to confront his father as to why it was there. However, when he opened it again, the teddy had vanished. Off camera, the duo searched the entire house for the teddy without success until Arash checked the under-sink cabinet again, where he actually found the teddy. After what happened next though, this was not considered a victory. Strangely, Raj took the teddy and slowly walked into the dining room before sitting down and holding the teddy tightly. This was super odd behavior from the child according to Arash, because he was a very bubbly person, and when he was mad, he definitely expressed it. Arash spoke to Raj for a solid 5 minutes, trying to figure out what was wrong with him, and he barely blinked. It took that whole time before Raj snapped out of this trance, and claimed that he had no clue what went on. He had been possessed.